like they're pale.
That's why the nations look down on us with disdain.
That's right.
You know, because they think that the average Jake out there is like that.
That's right.
You know, and the majority of Jake is like that. But you know, you have separation of the men that the Lord woke up that don't act that way.
That's right. All right. Here's the next definition. So you got it says of low intensity of light, meaning we're not shining like we're supposed to. Dim or faint. Pale, turn pale as in fear. Are we not, the majority of our people, are they not in fear of the other nations?
Yeah.
Sure they are. You Israelites, you're in fear of the so-called white man because you're afraid he can come and basically take your life, arrest you, put you in jail over some trumped up charges. What about the Jakes that were being hung and still being hung on trees by Esau? You gonna tell me they weren't in fear? Well, that's an example of being pale, brothers, in relation to Isaiah 29 and 22. Here's the next definition of light: lacking in intensity or brightness, dim or feeble. Did you hear that? Lacking in intensity or brightness. At one time, we were an intense people. You know, not anymore. The Lord said we're like the Lord said, Jeremiah 4:22, the Lord said, for my people are sottish children. They're foolish. So that intensity we once had, we lost that. Now the elect of us that are coming back to this truth, now we're getting back that intensity. And that's another thing too, if you want to say something on you brothers, when you get together and you have your little, we're not saying you can't have your little barbecues and your little, drink, you get together and drink and eat, but just please don't film it, all right? Don't film it.
Yeah, if you're gonna do a lesson, do a lesson, because the two don't mix. You know, you out there, your mind is set on partying or picnicking or whatever, and you trying to do a class. It's not gonna flow the way it's supposed to. Why? Because you're in two minds.
Yeah.
You're in the mind of you can't wait to get to the drinks and the food.
Exactly.
And then you're trying to get to this lesson. It's not gonna work. It's gonna clash.
And then we would be hypocrites.
Right.
Because here we're cursing out Zabak and them other guys for doing that, and here we're you got guys doing that.
That's right.
And beginning with Elder Tahar, you don't see us make videos like that. You don't see us eating in one hand, you got a burger, the other hand you're breaking down the scripture.
Right.
Come on, man.
Yep. So I mean, if you brothers want to do that, if you want to get together, that's fine. If you want to, break down the scriptures, have a little class while you're sitting out there, that's fine.
Right.
But just don't film it to put it up on YouTube, because then we're going to be called hypocrites because we're cursing out one group for doing that, but yet you got brothers that's part of GMS doing the same thing.
Exactly. That's it. So that this is what it is. So
and then being that Israel's going to look like the other nations, they're going to take on certain traits of the other nations. That red skin that Esau got, you got some Israelites that got that red skin.
Yeah, well, what about the tribe of Ephraim?
That's right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because the bottom line is, like Elder Gabar was saying earlier, this thing is not about color.
Yeah, you guys got to get out of that. I'm sorry, bro. You guys got to get out of that color thing, man.
Yep.
That's the so-called white man. That's Esau, right? He's preoccupied with color.
Yep.
Remember what the Lord told Samuel. All right. Matter of fact, go ahead, say it.
Yeah, the Lord told Samuel that the Lord seeth not as man seeth, and then the scriptures also say, "Abhor not a man for his outward appearance." In so many words.
Exactly.
So the bottom line is, you're gonna have Israelites that's gonna come like that. So if you're teaching these lessons, that only because that's what these other guys are teaching, that only the blacks are Israelites. That's not true. So if you're teaching that, you're gonna push the sheep away instead of bringing the sheep to the Lord.
Exactly.
Yep. Because you're gonna have certain guys out there that believe in the truth, that hear what we're saying, they believe it, but then they hear stuff like that, and they get pushed to the side because they say, well, look the way I look.
That's right.
So you brothers got to be conscious of when you're making these lessons and you putting this stuff together.
Yeah, you got to be deadly. This is a solemn assembly. This is deadly serious.
Yep.
Right. As a matter of fact, here it is right here, 1 Samuel 16:7. But the Lord said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth. For man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart.
That's right.
All right, so you remember that. So you got to cut it out with this color thing, man. You know?
Yeah. Hey, well, that's why in the parable of the wheat and the tares, the servants wanted to go and they wanted to separate the wheat from the tare, but the Lord said, no, don't do that, because if you do that, because you don't know who's an Israelite and who's not. Exactly. If you go and do that, you might take out certain people that look like the other nations out because of the way they look.
But they're Israelites.
But they're Israelites.
Right.
That's why the Lord said that when the angels come, they're going to do the separation.
Right, exactly. And now you have no excuse. Now, I shouldn't be hearing, and I'm sure Elder Tahar feels the same way, I shouldn't be hearing you use Isaiah 29 and 22 to prove that all the Israelites are going to look like so-called black people.
Right.
All right? That was that old breakdown.
Right.
As it is written, that old leaven. It is written, purge out the old leaven and be a new creature or new creation in Yahweh Shai.
That's right.
Now we have the understanding. Now Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai has given us the understanding of that scripture. All right? So going back to the word pale now, again it says, Jacob shall not now be ashamed. We prove Jacob is ashamed. All right? Mm-hmm. Neither shall his face now wax pale, meaning he would be feeble. He'll be to decrease in relative importance, to lose superiority or importance, of low intensity of light, dim or faint. We read the prophecy, our sons have fainted. Pale, turn pale as in fear. Here's the next one. Of light, lacking in intensity or brightness, dim or feeble. Weak, wanting in physical strength. Our people have become weak too.
Yep.
All right, so Jacob's face has become pale, all right?
Yeah, in comparison to the great stature that we had back then.
Once were. Exactly.
You know, we pale in comparison to that.
Exactly.
When you go back then, the nations, they feared us. The nations, they reverenced us. They looked up to us. They would say, what nation is there so great as these people that have the Most High so near to them? Because of the law, statutes, and commandments, and the wisdom and the great works that the Lord did for us. Mm-hmm. You know, but that's gone today. In comparison to that we pale today in comparison to what we once were back then. Yep. And but now we're getting it back.
Exactly. That's why it says that. I'm glad you said that. That's why it says, who redeemed Abraham.
Yep.
All right. So after the redemption of Abraham, which we represent that now, those of us that's coming in the truth, now we won't be ashamed.
Right.
Now our face won't wax pale. Which means what? Now we won't be feeble, weak. Now we'll have our superiority, our importance. We get that back. Now we'll have our intensity. We get back our light. We won't dim. We won't faint.
Yeah.
Right? We won't turn pale as if in fear. Right? We won't fear no more.
Right.
Is it not written, perfect love cast about fear?
Yep.
So that's what that means, brothers. Because you're going to have Israelites that look like so-called white people coming back to the faith.
Right.
All right? Coming back to the truth.
And then when you teach that, what that does, that sends a mixed message out there.
Exactly.
You know, on the one hand, we're saying that you have Israelites out there, which is true, that look like the other nations. But on the other hand, you know, it's like that black thing keeps being pushed out there. You know? Yeah. It's not a color thing. It's an Israelite thing. It's a nation thing.
Exactly. Exactly. That's right, brother. Jeremiah 30.
And if just one more thing I want to say is, you know, as much as you don't want to hear it, you're gonna have, even among them so-called Jews, them gutter rats, you're gonna have Israelites that's gonna come out of them that were mingled among them.
Even with the names Levin.
Yep.
And Rabinowitz.
Yep.
And whatever wits. All right. That's just how it is. All right.
That's right.
Telling you the truth. It says, remember Revelation 5 and 9, out of every people, tongue, kindred and nation. Yep. All right. Now, Elder Ramlav showed me the scripture here, and I'm just going to bring it out here. Because if pale means pale, meaning, you know, so-called white man, then explain this. Jeremiah 30 and 6. It says, ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. So what does that mean? That means that they all turn into so-called white people? Is that what that means? No. All faces turn into paleness. Pale with what? With fear. Yep. It is right here. Pale, to turn pale as in fear. It's a saying, brothers. Right. In this context, it's a saying. You pale with fear. Yep. Right? So that's what that's talking about in Jeremiah 30 and 6. You know, because it's talking about, then as you read on in the 7th verse, alas, for that day is great, so that there's none like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And by the way, that 6th verse was talking about the Israelites. Right. So when it says, and all faces are turned into paleness, what are you trying to tell me? That all the Israelites are going to turn into so-called white people? If that's what it means? No. It means on that day when all the hell break loose and you have the martial law and all the trouble that's going to be out here leading towards the what? The nuclear destruction. All faces shall turn into paleness, meaning people are going to be terrified. Yep. You tribes are going to be terrified. You tribes are going to be scared. All right? That's what that means. All right? So, as a matter of fact, if you go in the Blue Letter Bible for Jeremiah 30 and 6, you'll see that it says, face of those, if you look up the Hebrew word for pale, which is wara kwa yan, I believe it is. Wara kwa yan. And it says, face of those smitten with great terror. Right? Face of those smitten with great terror. So see, that's what that word pale means. There. Yep. So, you know, now that you brothers know, you know, now, you know, because like Elder Bar said, you know, that is an old breakdown that's been floating around for a while. I mean, we've used it ourselves. Yeah, ourselves, yeah. You know, but the bottom line is the Lord is fine-tuning everything now. Yep. So when the Lord is fine-tuning everything, you know, we're getting back the proper understanding of what is meant by certain scriptures. Certain words. Certain words, right. Yeah. That's why it is important to get into them words. That's right, man. That's right. So, you know, as I finished reading Isaiah 29:22, now it makes sense. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, who redeemed Abraham. Now you know what redeeming Abraham means. Concerning the house of Jacob, which Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Jacob shall not now be ashamed, but Jacob was ashamed before, because he strayed away from Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. But now we won't be ashamed. Not why? Because we're coming back to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Neither shall his face now wax pale. Meaning, what is that? Again, neither shall his face now wax pale. Meaning, we won't be afraid anymore. All right, we'll have our superiority. We'll have our importance back. All right, we won't be weak or feeble. We won't be weak or feeble. Okay, but when he seeth his children, and what is Jacob's children going to look like? They could look like any of those nations. Right. Why? Because they were scattered among all those nations. But when he seeth his children, the work of mine hands, and again, remember what James said. James said, known unto the Most High are all his works. From the beginning. So the Lord knows who's Israel out there and who's not Israel. All right? The work of mine hands, in the midst of him, they shall sanctify my name. And the only way you can do that is when you come back to this truth. Because you learn the name of the Lord, which is the name is Yahweh, and you learn his son's name, which is Yahweh Shai. And it doesn't matter what you look like. If that spirit is in you and you want to learn that, then chances are you're an Israelite. All right? Remember Romans 8 and 16. For the spirit bears witness with our spirit that we are the sons of the living power. Exactly. This thing is totally spiritual, brothers. That's why you brothers have to always remain spiritual. You know, when you're talking this color stuff, you're being carnal, right? They shall sanctify my name and sanctify the Holy One of Jacob, and shall fear the power of Israel. They also that erred in spirit shall come to understanding. This is happening right now. At one time we erred in spirit. We used to use the scripture Isaiah 29:22 to prove that the Israelites will never look like so-called white people. That was the error in spirit. Right. All right. It says they also that erred in spirit shall come to understanding. Now we're coming to the understanding. And they that murmured shall learn doctrine. So is this prophecy not happening now as we speak? Yep, that's right. So basically with that, you know, this is the end of this lesson. You know, just a little focus on Isaiah excuse me, Isaiah 29 and 22, getting the main importance of the word pale, what it really means in the right context. Okay. So with that, this is GMS Walk and Talk, a little extra. We'll see you on the next lesson.
Shalom.
Shalom.